Welcome to Book Thots, brand lifestyle podcast. We are thoughts for books, and these are our thoughts on books. I'm Jenna.
I'm Emily.
And Adriana is unfortunately not joining us today. Boo. Today, we're two sisters stripping down one book at a time. We're also continuing our strip down of ACOWAR with chapters 41 through 51.
Before we jump in, we do have a content warning. Today's podcast is rated mature. We are Book Thoughts after all, so we're going to be using adult language, talking about adult topics, so please pay attention to who may be listening near you. Additionally, this episode will include spoilers for all 5 books. Each episode, we will focus on specific chapters, but our conversation will include the entire series. Lastly, I'm just going to apologize ahead of time. But definitely Jenna and I will at least mispronounce a name or place. Jenna will be leading this strip down, so strip it down, girl, strip it down, girl. Or, wait, not sponsored, but I do think it's worth noting that today is PSL Day for all those that celebrate. So if you love a good pumpkin spice latte, August 25th, because we are filming live the day of, you can go out and get your pumpkin spice latte. So do not forget, book girlies, it's PSL Day. And if you don't like pumpkin spice lattes, it's probably great for your calorie intake, because I'm sure there's about 3,000 calories per drink.
Starbucks has declared the August 25th, the official start of fall, and who am I to argue with corporate coffee overlords? I'm in.
Never me.
Sweatshirt season. Don't mind me. It's still 98 degrees here. All right. Actually, before the strip down, we do have a Sowwy section for these chapters that was just brought to light.
Okay, let's hear
because
it.
I previously thought that Lucian had the Dawn Court fix his fake eye, and they did so because they knew he was the Dawn Court's, High Lord's illegitimate son. Try again. He's the Day Court's illegitimate son. Whether the Dawn Court knows that or not is probably irrelevant to him getting his eye fixed.
I truly think that nobody knows except every single woman.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I don't think anybody knows, because we later find out Rhysand is like, oh, no. So I truly think nobody knows except the women.
There's also a point in our previous episodes where we're confused about Mor's Winter Court relationship, but that gets cleared up in these two. She's just friends with Vivian and not the Egyptian they got buried together type of friends. They're actually just platonic friends. All right, now we can start the strip down. Chapter 41. High Lord meeting prep continues with Az being too busy to even train with Feyre. Baron has agreed to be present, but there's still no word from the Spring Court. Finally, after many rejections of an agreed-upon location, everyone agrees to meet at the Dawn Court. There's a lot of talk of Feyre's attire as they wait for Rhysand to join the group before they leave for the meeting. She's wearing her dress from Starfall, refashioned, and although Rhys has provided with her a crown at every event he's provided clothing for, this crown, in particular, feels heavier. Official, as Cassian called it. The crown came from a room where Rhys took Feyre last night, a black, dark cave lit with glowworms. Only Rhys, Feyre, and their future offspring can enter. While in the room choosing her crown, Feyre does some man-to-man, or rather court-to-court comparing, where she remembers being terrified to be given a crown in the Spring Court, but now feels like it's something she's always known was meant for her. Feyre compares herself to light made visible by Rhys's night. Actually, does this comparison more than once, I believe, in the same chapter. Nesta is dressed in a dark blue gown. She's going to the meeting? Apparently she is. And she gives Feyre a compliment of "you look beautiful" for the second time. Not in these chapters, but overall. There's not really a lot to talk about because mainly this chapter is just Feyre's attire being explained in elaborate detail. But the one thing I wanted to say was the glowworms are mentioned that are in the family heirloom cave. And the only other time This is a Sarah J. Maas universe spoiler, so skip ahead to the next chapter if you haven't read them all. The only other time glowworms are mentioned is in the Throne of Glass series, and it's when Aelin and Rowan are being led by these little fairy creatures through a cave, and the glowworms are lighting the area. So I think this has got to be one of those, like, in between the world spots.
Well, and he says his family has kept it there for what, like 10,000s of years?
It's like innumerable years, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty
It's
sure.
so ancient.
I could see it being in between worlds, or I'm still not like completely convinced that Throne of Glass couldn't be like 10,000 years ago from this point, right? Like it could have happened first.
It could have, or
No,
what
but
I
then
was
there's-
thinking, it's part of that string theory thing with the harp, and everything's like concurrently happening, but also back and forth, like future, past. It's all just one big thing. And then I like got really into it. It was like, what if there's like so many descendants of Feyre and Rhys that, I don't know, either Rowan or Aelin is one of their offspring. Like,
Dang.
well, no, that doesn't make sense. Never mind.
Now I remember when Aelin is like passing through time after she saves the world or she kills the gods or whatever. She like waves at Feyre and
Yeah.
Rhysand. So no way they're in the unless she's traveling through time. I guess it is probably parallel worlds.
I mean, she definitely could be traveling through time, though. We're left in the dark without glowworms in a lot of this, okay?
Glowworms for sure in Throne of Glass. Could be in Crescent City. Those were some really long books. If they're in that, I do not recollect.
I looked it up, and the only mention that, Google AI finds is in Throne of Glass, too. It's the only one I remembered. The only thing that I could think that ties to Crescent City is the description of Feyre's crown. It might be similar or something like that like Bryce comes upon in her stuff in Crescent City, but I didn't look it up.
They talk about catacombs. Not that catacombs on the continent, I think is what she refers to. Not that can't just be what they are and it's just in a separate series. But I feel like it's not done without purpose when it comes to Sarah. So I do think there might be a correlation there.
I think all the catacombs are somehow connected to the bone
Everything's
carver
connected.
and Gavin, who met the truth teller, like God, who carves they carve their names and they get something in return. I don't remember, but yeah. Anyway, I think it's all connected.
Connected.
I have push pins and string. Don't worry about me.
You look like a
right,
crazy lady in your closet.
Chapter 42. Nesta's coming because she doesn't want to be seen as a coward. Feyre tries to argue, it's cool, no biggie, you've done enough. And I'm like, hello? When did she do enough, Feyre? She wants to fight for the humans beyond the wall. There's no one, not even their own kind, to care about them and fight. Rhys steps in and offers her a trial period at the meeting, and after, he'll hire her as his human fae emissary. Nesta has been welcomed to the Night Court. They all make a bet on who's going to start the first fight at the meeting. And they're off. Asriel first to scout it out, next Rhys and Feyre, but not before they slow down to witness the showdown between Cassian and Nesta. Everyone is holding their breath as Cassian continues to slightly sidestep Mor's attempts to grab and winnow. With their eyes never leaving one another's, there's a promise made between Nesta and Cassian that he'll always return from battle to her first and let her know he's alive. They are also clasping hands when this happens. Meeting time! Hello, Dawn Court. Picture beautiful sunrises. Rhys is showing up, wings out, and shields up. Feyre gives him a reassuring, I see all of you, and I love you. And Rhys gives her a, you bow to no one, reassurance. And here we go, let the High Lord drama begin. The Dawn Court is described just how I picture any like heavenly magical world. It's just that is what's in my mind. There's like opalescent hues of everything, and it's all bright and fluffy and comfy, and it's like summer court on crack, but without seashells.
Seashells are just a hazard. Like,
I'm pro no seashells. I don't really enjoy going to somewhere oceanside and there's like dead starfish pinned to the wall everywhere. Like, I don't have to have that.
you don't need that for your beach experience.
I don't.
I feel like you're describing kind of like a My Little Pony-esque when you comes to like the magical, how you're viewing this.
I probably am always picturing and comparing something to My Little Pony.
At all times throughout the day, always.
I will at least sing a song from one of the movies or episodes and compare something to it. The magic of friendship is real, okay? I need everybody to stop fighting that.
It is my life mission to make sure that that is known. And nepotism is okay if it's in my fantasy books, is what I gotta say here. Rhysand offering jobs left and right.
Yeah, he definitely tries to help out Feyre's family and what he feels is his family at any turn.
Yeah, and I like him at the end here going, "You bow to no one." I feel like that's
For
powerful.
sure. Okay, who would you, knowing all of these characters, made your bet on to start a fight first?
Anyone with a mate and Cassian, who technically has a mate there, but they haven't like come to terms with that. But I feel like anytime you get in a room where people have several mates, a fight could happen because it's just so easy to offend. You say one
I
wrong thing
know.
about a mate and they're like, "Hey."
Also, we're looking at going into the blood rubies. You know, there's a possibility they try and take what they feel they're owed, and there's blood rubies on everybody's heads.
But I never
But
take that seriously. Like, even when he's
I
angry, I'm like, you just did that because it's tradition. Just like Tamlin does the tithe. Like, you didn't actually have your heart in those blood rubies. Cassian's already a loose cannon, so I'm like, he could start a fight over anything.
Cassian would be my go-to for starting a fight. I mean, he leveled a building. We already know about that. We already know he got kicked out of the townhouse for fighting with Amren. Cassian definitely my go-to betting on he's starting the fight. But also, I love my Cassian boy.
His blonde hair and everything.
He does not. He doesn't. I can't even picture him with blonde hair. That just is so crazy to me. Chapter 43. There's other winged fae besides our bat boys and the seraphims. It's the peregrines. Also, they're from mainly the Dawn Court. One of the peregrines is Thesen's, who's the High Lord of the Dawn Court and host. It's his lover. And I think the captain or some title of the army. His closest guard. It's something like that. Thesen is the first High Lord to greet them. Everyone in the Night Court entourage bows to Thesen except for Rhys and Feyre. Callias, I cannot remember how to say his name, but he is the High Lord of the Winter Court, approaches. Mor and a female Feyre can't identify steal the show with a rather hyper reunion. Mor immediately introduces Feyre to Vivian, Callias' wife. Kylus. Someone help me, Adriana, where are you? Vivian reveals that Callias and her are also mates, which is a surprise even to Mor. Vivian shoots Callias a vulgar gesture when he gives her a hard time about the outburst at the very serious meeting. Helion, known as the Spellweaver and the High Lord of the Day Court, is last to greet them. Amber eyes gleaming, he asks, "Does Tamlin know what she is?" He then elaborates, "Your mate and High Lady." Another squeal from Vivian is hushed by Mor, who removes them so that the high people can walk around the room. And I can only picture the twin Spider-Man meme. They're all like pointing at each other like, "High Lord, High Lady, High Lady, High Lord." Rhys simply replies, "We'll find out if he shows up." Helion gives a good evil villain laugh and everybody kind of sobers up at that. Thesen notices Nesta and asks who she is. Feyre responds, my sister, and that when the others arrive, her story will be shared. But Thesan, it seems, is a nosy, impatient bitch and still asks who made her immediately. Nesta indulges and answers that Hybern did. Feyre, apparently foregoing the waiting and letting Nesta tell her own story, flippantly says he threw her in the cauldron along with my other sister, Elaine, after Ianthe and Tamlin sold out Prythian and my family's whereabouts to Hybern. Helion is like, damn, little lady, that's some big shit to drop on us. But Feyre doesn't balk. She's like, duh, that's why we're meeting, to deal with it. Vivian wants to be High Lady too. We learn that her and Callias have been friends since childhood, and his fierce protectiveness kept her on the border patrol of the Winter Court and away from Under the Mountain and Amarantha. He, like Rhys, had realized what was happening and sent out a message to her with his power that he loved her and begged her to protect their people. Their love actually bloomed while they were separated, and when he was freed, he winnowed directly to her. She kissed him, he proposed, and they were married within the day. Tarquin appears, the first of the tardy High Lords, ignoring everyone except Thesan pretty much. Dawncourt with the neutrality win. Dun dun dun, Baron is here. All his remaining sons and wife in tow. His wife's eyes seem to scan for Lucian, but stop on Helion? Baron's younger sons are brought into line courtesy of Eris. Baron is uncaring and greeted by Rhysand, who says, fitting you being tardy, seeing as your sons were too slow to catch my mate. Baron, the oldest in the whole room of Ancient Fae, says, mate and High Lady. Autumn Court doesn't really seem popular with anyone. Rhysand is summoned to tell everyone why the meeting has been called, and without the presence of the Spring Court, the meeting takes off. Oh, just a little too fast. Tamlin, like a spring storm, winnows in without entourage, smiling like a wolf. Vivian and Moore give me all the happy girlfriends reuniting vibes, and it's super cute to witness them just letting that happen, even in this atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, it's girlhood at its finest. They just reunite like they're best friends. She introduces Feyre like she's excited to meet like one of her all-time best friends for hundreds and hundreds of years, presumably. So I feel like it's just a reunion like your long distance best friend.
I agree. And I also love the healthy relationship between her and Callias shines through, that she doesn't feel stifled like a lot of the other women who show up. Like, they don't say anything, they don't step up, they're not making their opinions known. They're just kind of quiet and in the background. But Callias's wife, Vivian, is all over the place, letting her opinion known, asking questions, reuniting with her best friend.
She's not High Lady, but she has acted as High Lord when he was under the mountain. So I could foresee that becoming a thing. I know she makes a joke at the end, like, I want to be High Lady, but I mean, it seems like she really could be.
Yeah, I actually have that like later in the chapters when she says that, and I'm like, I really hope that Callias sees this and makes the adjustment to make her High Lady. And then I'm like, or, Vivian may just adopt the title on her own, not wait for her husband to be like, yeah, you can have it,
Yeah, I'm putting it in place without you.
Which I just love her and them. It's just another healthy relationship outside of our Court of Dreamers, I feel like.
I also like how for both of them, it was like, it talks about their story, how he was like, oh, I love you so much. I have always loved you. BRB, I might not ever see you again. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I gotta go. I'm trapped under this mountain. Lead our people. Great. Okay, good. See you
Ma
later.
called, the bees are back.
Yeah, Ma called, the bees are back. So I just thought that would be really hard to do.
Did you get annoyed at Feyre for speaking for Nesta here? She doesn't only do it here. She does it even like later for Nesta again, and I think Elaine in some parts as well.
I didn't get annoyed, I guess. I understand her speaking up. It's not like Nesta has really spoken up for herself and she sees it as the only opportunity to kind of win everybody over. I not that Nesta can't speak for herself, but has she earned her opportunity to speak up for, I mean, has she earned that right for Feyre to not assume that she would not speak up? I don't know.
I get what you're saying. I can see it that way, but I just am annoyed because Feyre comes to Nesta and was like, I want you at the meeting. I want you to share your story. And Nesta flat out refuses and says, no, I'm not going to do that. And then Nesta shows up ready for the meeting saying, I don't want you to think I'm a coward. I want to come. I want to share my story. And Feyre had made it seem like it's only Nesta's story to tell. It's her trauma. If she wants to share it, she can share it. And then when it comes time to allow Nesta to step up and share it, Feyre just totally takes over and does it for her. It kind of irks me.
I don't know. I'm not like a big fan of Nesta here, so I guess I just don't care. Like you said earlier, Faye was like, you've already given too much. No, you actually haven't given anything that I've seen. So, you should have been forced to come to this meeting. You should want to help out. Like, you're lucky you have a sister as good as Feyre. And I feel like Feyre is more being protective here than she is like stepping on Nesta's toes for her story. I think she's like, you're already uncomfortable about telling your story. You showed up, so let me do the hard part. You being here is enough.
I can see it that way too. I guess, I don't know. Feyre just makes it this huge deal that it's Nesta's trauma to share if she wants to share it, and then given the opportunity, Feyre steps in front and shares it for her.
Yeah.
Instead of letting Nesta do it. So it just bothers me. And there's times when someone will ask one of the sisters a question directly and Feyre will step up and answer. And I get that as a sibling. You do the talking for your siblings. I understand that dynamic's going on too, but it still kind of gets on my nerves.
It bothers you.
She wants them to stand on their own and then she's not allowing it, which is family dynamic 101.
Oh, yeah, we need to talk about the peregrine, pelican, penguin. First off, feather birds, not bad. But second off, I can't not read that, and I want to say pelican or penguin. And honestly, I picture a pelican because it's so close to peregrine or pigeon. There's a lot of P birds out there, I'm realizing now.
I'm picturing the spelling because the end is like the grin, like griffin and like all of those birds that are mythical. So I'm not getting the penguin pelican vibes that you are.
Pelican, penguin, peregrine, what is it?
Peregrine,
Peregrine.
I think.
And I'll picture pelicans for the remainder of the story. You may continue.
Right. Chapter 44. While Thesan and Beren try to greet Tamlin, his attention stays fixed on Feyre. A chair is fetched since no one expected his arrival, and Tamlin sits remaining silent with only a loathsome smile adorning his face. It would seem congratulations are in order, are his first spoken words. Tamlin is then called an enemy, but he gives his perspective on things and says he would have gotten out of the bargain with Hybern if it wasn't for that dog and his meddling kids, aka Rhysand and brainwashed Feyre. She was stolen away in the night, and then she came back and shredded his court, leaving it for Hybern's taking. Feyre chimes in with a, haven't you even ever heard of closing the goddamn door? No. Oh, no. Wait, she just says you don't get to rewrite the narrative. It was day when I left you and you made your own choices when it came to letting Hybern in your land. Unfortunately, one of Tamlin's comments offends the keeper of the truth teller, and Tamlin gets hit with the bombshell of the most untraditional proportions when Asriel says, Be careful how you speak to my high lady. Tamlin once again tries to tell his perspective on the situation, and Rhysand laughs and says, well done, you're learning at, like spinning the narrative. But one thing Tamlin throws out sticks. Rhysand was Amarantha's whore when the 200 younglings were murdered by Anakin Skywalker. Oh, no, wait, that's a different story. They were murdered by Amarantha. Callias is apt to blame the whole ordeal on Rhys, as if he were a willing participant, while Rhys is visibly disturbed by the memory and admits he tried to stop it and remembers his failure in that daily. Vivian speaks up and asks to hear how Rhysand tried to stop the slaughter, and he shares his account. When the Winter Court rebelled, Amarantha wanted to kill Callias as punishment. Rhys convinced her it wasn't necessary and that the rebellion had been adequately squashed. She responded by confining him and not telling him of her plan to seek revenge. He had tried to break into the soldiers' minds, but when he finally could, the deed was already done. They took a Damonti, and children's minds had been shattered. Rhys suspects that they used the Damonti so that Callias would assume it was him, and then the Winter and Night Courts would never form an alliance against Amarantha. When proof is asked for, Rhys swears what he says is true on his mate's life. They also ask where he was confined, and he answers Amarantha's bedroom. With this, Callias shifts his attention back to Tamlin and asks why he's come. Tamlin says to help fight Hybern. Tamlin offers to provide movements on Hybern, and when questioned again, insults Rhys and Feyre once more. Helium puts his foot down and demands that the lovers' quarrel be dealt with on other grounds. They're here to discuss war, and they need to know if Tamlin is friend or foe. Tamlin presents tracking of Hybern's movements and his supplies in the form of papers with lists, and yet again tries to point fingers at the Night Court being traitorous and working with Hybern. But when he tries to throw in that they're the only ones that were told in time to aid Adriata, Varian speaks up, revealing that he was the one that warned them, which shocks even Tarquin. Nesta even speaks up against Tamlin's slander and says he may need to take a look in the mirror if he needs someone to blame. Feyre has had enough. She demands to know what he wants so that he'll become civil. He begins spewing hatefulness at her. His words simply cease to have noise behind them. All the High Lords at the table become humbled men at the amount of power Rhys wields. They all may be equals, but he is more powerful than them all.
I don't believe in this theory, and this chapter actually makes me believe that this theory is not any good. But I will say, if the Lucian that was at the Night Court is actually Tamlin, who has shapeshifted into Lucian to be there, I can understand why he comes into this meeting guns blazing, because he's had to witness the lovey-doveyness between Rhysand and Feyre. But that to me is the only explanation of why he is coming in so hot. It's just such a poor decision to come in just so feisty. And I get you're hurt, your heart's broken, your lady left you for another man. That's not why she left you, but it is the circumstance. So I can understand anger. But man, he comes in with a very sharp tongue and guns blazing. What an entrance.
I think that it is within Tamlin's character to show up like this after he's been dealing with his court falling apart under it. I mean, his character's very take everything upon yourself, don't ask anyone for help, blow up on all of those closest to you, right? And his closest friend has left him high and dry in his very, very deep hour of need. The person that, for God knows what reason, he's also relied on is Ianthe, and she is just a blubbering blob of goo.
The fact that this chapter he's still defending Ianthe is just wild. It's so is so critical of what Feyre did to her, but still hasn't even reprimanded Ianthe for all the destruction that she has caused. Weird.
I still don't get that. I don't know if we're just waiting for that to be told to us or what's going to happen there. But it is still wild that he brings it up as something against Feyre, even though he has to know now what a piece of shit she was. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get that whole thing. I will say that I'm glad that he comes in and shares his perspective, because I do think this is how he actually views everything that's happening. I don't think he's trying to be, I mean, what he's saying is slanderous. I think he's just trying to be truthful with them, trying to give his point of view. So I'm glad that he's doing that, because there are two points of view to everything. We're only seeing Feyre's side. We're only blaming Tamlin for these things. But she's the villain in his story right now, and we're seeing that. Even Rhys says, I kind of forgot that Tamlin's not just this, like, dumb jock warrior. Like, he might have had a plan. He might have truly had a plan to get out of Hybern's bargain and not sacrifice his court and not betray Prythian.
Well, he put himself in his own situation, yet he's blaming everyone except himself. So even though he sees it as, you betrayed me, you did this, you stole my bride in the night, that's not what happened. You need to take accountability. You need to take ownership of your own issues. She helped speed it up. She did not invent it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that his perspective is correct. I'm not saying that his perspective is mature. I'm just saying it is currently his only way of viewing things.
Yeah.
So I like that the Night Court's chosen to be open and honest and themselves, and they're letting everybody in on what's actually gone on and not playing the villain, even though it makes Tamlin look even worse. I also really like that Rhys just removes Tamlin's ability to speak, because I think it's a very mature way to handle the situation, but also a very petty reaction. It's a little bit symbolic in, like, this is what you did to Feyre while she was with you. Like, eat some of your own medicine.
Yeah, and it's also like Rhys could make his head explode inside make his brain explode inside his head, but yeah, he's choosing to simply just shut him up. Take his voice away. Like you said, the exact same thing he did to Feyre. Here's your little reminder.
Not that Tamlin will see it. He's definitely seeing red right now. Chapter 45. As Tamlin continues to try and speak in vain, the others are kind of asking why they should trust Rhys, and he's like, hey guys, remember how I just took Tamlin's voice? I don't really have to ask. I can just make you all be my soldiers. Tarquin speaks up and asks why the Night Court has never asked for anything in return for playing hero with the Summer Court, and Rhys says, isn't that what friends do? Tarquin then publicly renounces the blood rubies, and Cassian says, good luck getting Amren's back. She's never given that thing up. Rhys looks at Tamlin and tells him he believes that he's there to fight with them, and releases his hold on Tamlin's voice. Baron speaks up, saying he's unconvinced about Tamlin, and then Mor and Eris exchange pleasantries. And who had the Night Court down as first to fight? Because Az has tackled Eris and trapped them in a blue force field so they can fight alone. Rhys says, enough, and Azriel refuses to let go of Eris's neck. Rhys repeats, Azriel, I said enough. Baron is smacking Azriel's shield with flames, but the Shadow Singer's shield isn't budging, and neither is he. Feyre rises and walks to Az. She gets his attention, and he goes with her after whispering something in Eris's ear that turns him pale. Baron tries to strike, but is met by Feyre's shield. Their drama comes to an end when Feyre threatens Eris and he apologizes to Mor, shocking Baron and seemingly pleasing his wife. Thesan is like, forehead slap, and Helion is like, well, you guys are going to have to pay up. I won the bet. Now, let's look at those records of Hybern. He makes replicas of all the papers Tamlin brought and sets one before each of the members present. Helion suggests two things. First would be to destroy the caches of Faebane. Tarquin offers to take care of this since he owes the Night Court for helping. Thesan is like, hold up, I got an ace up my sleeve. He brings in Lucian's friend and eyeball maker, Nuan. Am I going to note that she has onyx eyes? You bet your ass I am. Nuan doesn't acknowledge Tamlin despite he's supposedly the link between she and Lucian, and he does not acknowledge her. Now everybody's like, how'd you get samples of the Faebane? And she says she got it from Lucian after recently making contact with him. She made an antidote. He didn't tell the Night Court because he didn't want to get their hopes up if she couldn't fix the antidote. The debate goes on if anybody can trust the Night Court and its alchemist that created the antidote. Feyre's like, I'll be the first to take it. And Baron is totally against using the antidote because he's a paranoid bastard. Eris speaks up against him, saying, hey, I'll take it. I've seen the effects of Faebane. It's nothing to mess with. Baron says, like hell you're gonna take it. You're in my court. You're my son. Shut up. Rhys speaks up and says, my entire court will take it, and my armies. Tamlin quietly says, at least you have armies. Again, blaming the downfall of the Spring Court on Feyre. He's also explaining how he's been moving his court east away from Hybern. Thesan tries to move the meeting along, asking for Helion's other suggestion. Helion says, well, Tamlin's already pretty much taken care of it because it was to evacuate the Spring Court. And then he's like, Baron, you'll take him in the Autumn Court, right? It makes the most sense. You're the border. But Baron refuses, and Tarquin speaks up and says, we'll take all of the Spring Court people. Tamlin accepts this. Baron complains that the Solar Courts aren't doing anything, and Rhys is like, well, it's not our borders that Hybern needs right now, you dumbass. He wants what's close to the human lands. Nesta sweeps in to tell the group that the human queens have betrayed them all. She says they're likely to also hand over control of their armies and questions where the humans are supposed to go if that happens. Baron flat out refuses to defend the humans behind the wall. Feyre calls him a coward. He throws back that she is one too. Baron pokes a little too hard at Rhysand, taunting him about bending over and being a whore for Hybern like he was with Amarantha, and it's too much for Feyre. She explodes, lancing Baron with white-hot flames. So going back to how Nuan and Tamlin seem to, kind of ignore each other, do you think that they're ex-lovers or something, and that's why it's kind of awkward between them? Or do we think, memories have been wiped somehow? What's going on here?
I don't think there's memories that have been wiped, but obviously something has happened. I don't know if it's because their mutual friend is Lucian and maybe there's a secret there between the three that only those three know.
I got really weird with it, or dove into a wormhole, and I was like, what? Did Lucian's eye get taken publicly? Were there witnesses for that? Do we remember if that was public?
Amarantha does it in front of the court, right? She does it in front of the court of night, or the under the mountain.
I don't remember if it's done in front of a group of people. I remember the story being that Lucian said something. He went as emissary for the Spring Court and said something offensive to her, and she took his eye. And then he went and got it fixed at the Dawn Court. I was thinking, what if Tamlin overreacted about something and swiped Lucian and took his eye, and Nuan, when she was repairing it, noticed that it wasn't Amarantha and it was Tamlin, and that's why there's that tension between them. Because we know he can lash out.
I could see that as being a reason, but Lucian lost his eye as punishment for Tamlin. Although that is quite a punishment for Lucian, it is said in order to hurt Tamlin, she hurt Lucian. So it that's very plausible. I don't know how that would, unless we get more information, I don't know how that would further the story. That everyone already hates Tamlin, so that's just gonna make people hate Tamlin more.
I think it's just kind of like out of left field. I don't think there's really any basis behind it or we'll see anything come of it. I just had that errant thought and I thought I'd share it.
No, I like it. I could totally, we know he has anger issues. It could very much be plausible. I also could see the previous lovers thing, but truly I think it's like there's a secret there. It doesn't seem like the tension of lovers. It seems like the tension of we both know unspoken truths and we're gonna ignore it instead of talk about it.
I agree. I agree. It does feel like that tension more than anything that I brought up. I fucking love Tarquin. I do. I love that he, at the immediate first sign of being able to forgive Reese, he's like, publicly, I renounce the blood rubies.
Yeah, it's so
Like,
it's so cheesy. It reminds me of the other series that we've done, the Everflame series, when Diem's little brother's like, Diem, the crown. And it's, to me, that's like, you
Yeah.
know what, bro, you could forget all that hate. Like, those blood rubies ain't nothing, man. Nothing can break us.
That ain't made shit. I love you, bro. And he's like, oh, even Varian's on your side? Why? What the heck, Varian? You could have told me this a long time ago, and I wouldn't have had to have this front up against my boy here.
Yeah. In this conversation,
It's like,
I feel like Eris really is protecting their mom. And I kind of want to just predict here that I think that's probably his motive behind a lot of things that he does and his goal for he's just a mama's boy. And almost everything he's done is to try to keep her. She's obviously getting harmed left and right, but try to avoid the most damage as possible.
I agree completely. I think he's a mama's boy. I think that's why he hasn't killed Baron yet and taken over, because he's like waiting for the time to be right where nothing can happen to his mother. And I don't know if there's like some weird bargain between her and Baron that's why he can't just kill him. But something weird is happening there. My other question was, why is Baron still breathing? And I guess that's possibly the only reason.
Well, the fact that everybody hates him, I am shocked. He seems to piss off everyone. So how has someone not just like snapped and just done it? He must be pretty powerful
He's the
himself.
oldest fate. Yeah, I guess he is pretty powerful, but is it just because he's so old that they're like, do we even bother with him? I don't know.
Maybe he has blackmail on everybody. I don't know. Or their court.
I think it's just like there's somebody in power and nobody wants to make a move against him. They're just like, we'll just deal with it and not have to bother with replacing him.
Yeah, it's going to be more work than it's worth.
Yeah, which is kind of what Reese tells Feyre later when he's trying to calm her down. He's like, you don't want to deal with the backlash of killing him and all of that.
I rest my case in Mor and Azriel being mates. I no longer have to bring it up. This is clear and evident proof. If there was a jury, they'd have to convict.
I mean, yes, he freaking goes and attacks, and then every single thing that follows is just more in support that they're mates. I mean, yeah, we're going to talk about it again. Chapter 46. Baron barely shields Feyre's attack. Everyone is standing and Feyre is hearing her name in her head. Feyre begins to use water to try and drown Baron. Then the light of day. Then Rhysand is in front of her, grabbing her face, making her look into his eyes. Now all the High Lords know that the small piece they gave is wieldable by Feyre. Helion questions if Tamlin knew. He replies, yeah, it was none your business. Baron is unsurprisingly pissed. Feyre apologizes for hurting the Lady of Autumn. Rhys smokes Baron with Night when he tries to snap at Feyre, and I picture a little red-faced bald man with an entitlement that can't be matched, stamping his feet and declaring the meeting over. Nesta stands up and declares the meeting not over, and makes a pretty damn good rally speech, begging them to fight for the innocent no matter the strife amongst them. She says that she saw Hybern's heart in the cauldron and that he'll destroy both sides of the wall. At the end of her speech, Baron says he'll consider fighting with them and winnows him and his family away. Callias steps up and asks Feyre if she's mastered ice as well. She nods and answers all of them. Tarquin is like, no worries, she saved us. Fair is fair. Helion is like, nah, she probably a siphon. Thesan, being ever neutral, is like, it's done, and it's not like we're gonna kill her to get it back, right? Eyebrows raised, looking around for any takers. Feyre reminds them that they willingly gave that colonel to save her, and it's hers, so back the fuck off. Vivian and Cressida both stand, saying they will fight with her. Women supporting women, let's go! The High Lords all follow and give their support, Helion looking very amused.
Real quick, I forgot to mention it previously. I call her the science girl, the one that is in the love triangle between Tamlin and Lucian. And she also...
Nuance.
Yeah, nuance. She mentions the mother. A couple of characters will do this. They'll mention the mother and stuff like that. And I just like, is the mother before the cauldron or after the cauldron? Is that old gods, different gods? She's from the continent or from like a different place. So who is the mother?
I've brought that up in episodes before. I'm pretty sure she's just thought of like that, that painting that Feyre sees in the spring courtroom where it's the woman spilling over the cauldron. I believe that is what they're referring to when they say the mother.
She is the stirrer of the pot.
She's the witch.
Cauldron knows all.
Eris is the last to winnow from the autumn court. And when he's gone, it says there's a glittering onyx, like in the wake, still remaining there. And that's always going to make me think of the Throne of Glass series. Just because of like the Vlag, and it's always like the onyx stuff happening.
Do they like, can they do this? Can they just disappear?
I don't know about the winnowing, but I mean, it's the onyx is used in the rings that control the different people when they wear them and stuff like that. So I don't know why it's mentioned that there's glittering onyx lingering after Eris winnows away. Is it some kind of like weird sign that he's leaving? What the fuck's going on?
If you're comparing this to Throne of Glass series and the bad guys in them in that series, then are you saying that you think it means that like Eris is bad?
No, I don't think Eris is bad. I'm just wondering if it's showing that maybe Baron is being controlled by the Vlag somehow or something. That's why he's so nasty to everybody. There's also the fact that the mother, her name's never given, is also kind of thrown a glacious. Glacious?
I think we're all scarred from no names being given in colors of anything. Because truly, it could mean that he's being controlled by the bad guys. I'm using bad guys, so that's not specific to the series. Ruin anything. But it is possible. But also, could it just mean that that's like just what it looked like when he not evaporated, but when he winnowed? Like, could that have just been the remnants of him winnowing? You know what I mean? Like,
It can be.
It could mean that. It could mean it. But also, could it just be like, if the author says the curtains are purple, it's not like this deep introspective part of the story. It's just, hey, the curtains are purple.
It could be. Also, I did not expect that showing from Cressida, like standing up and saying, I'm with Feyre, especially after we saw her in the summer court kind of chastising Tarquin's progressive movements.
I think she's fed up. I think she's seen enough loss, and that's given her her motivation to find her fight. I also feel very bad for Lucian's mom because she makes no reaction to the burns. And I don't think it's because she's trying to be strong. I think she has literally been hurt that many times where a few burns on her arms is like, oh, that's just what it is. I mean, it says that Baron hurts her later on where people can't see it. So she is constantly being
Yeah.
abused. So I just think
She
the fact that we take a second to look at that is very much like that's how much abuse she's had to put up with, that she doesn't even flinch at burdens on her arms.
she's definitely like very numb to everything around her, except for her sons. She goes and helps Feyre because Feyre spared Lucian, and then she also smiles at Eris for things that you can tell she's approving of that he's doing, or approval shines in her eyes. I love Feyre stepping up and making this actually really great speech that kind of turns the tide. I don't know why it grabs Baron's attention. I don't know why he's giving a maybe before they leave because of this. He doesn't seem like the type that would fight for the innocent. I don't get why that speaks to him. I don't understand
Is
it.
it Nesta or Feyre that makes this speech at the end?
It's Nesta.
Okay. You said Feyre, so I wanted to be sure.
It's for sure Nesta. Do you have like any guesses as to why that would make Baron be like, yeah, maybe?
Whatever heart and the strings to it that he might have, did it pull something? I don't know. It's, I guess, maybe just
So weird.
maybe he's more curious, like, about the cauldron, and her being inside is a testament to what she might actually know. So maybe he's saying maybe because he's just curious. Like, maybe we might fight with you because there's more to your story, and I actually want to know what that is.
Chapter 47. The meeting continues, as does the bickering. Finally, Thiessen offers chambers for all of them so that they can stay the night and resume in the morrow. They all accept, Tamlin being escorted first by Thiessen himself. Callias and Vivian are left with our night court group, and everyone is on good terms, despite Rhys's guilt and the revelation that Feyre is a 7-court power-throwing badass. Azriel utters a single sorry when the bet about who'd fight first is brought up, and Cassian is playing a barrier between him and Mor. The consensus is Baron will fight with the majority and only defect if the tide turns against them. Rhys praises Feyre and she him for the way they handled themselves in such ugly company. Rhys also praises Nesta. Helion makes an arrival. Some light teasing ensues and his icy exterior from before is gone. But when Cassian asks of his forces, the male becomes serious again and plainly answers he has them, and he shares information he refused to divulge in front of others. You might as well put a war table in the room because that's all the talk we're getting now. Tarquin is believed to be earnest in joining them, and Baron thought a fool if he doesn't. Baron's war games have not been forgotten by his people or his wife. Her sisters bought her time while she ran away, and they did this out of love. They were tortured and butchered by Hybern's people. Helion describes what happened to the Lady of the Autumn Court when she ran, and with so much detail, Feyre realizes he had to have been there. He admits that he was there and that he tore Hybern's beasts apart with his own hands when he found her. When Mor tells about a rumor of the Autumn Lady waiting for a certain someone before she married Baron, Helion answers the rumor he heard is that her family didn't give her a chance to wait and sold her off to Baron. Feyre's like, what's the tea? You guys had an affair after you saved her and then you left her with that abuser? He's like, she chose to stay. And it was her choice to say. He's obviously very angered by what she's insinuating and the fact that he had to make those choices. But the way the rules of the courts are set up, nothing else would have worked. And Feyre's like, why doesn't Baron call you out? Why is this song and dance still going on? And shock shows on her face. Rhys gets into her head and he's like, you better school your features, girl. And she does. And then Rhys takes the opportunity to change the subject to the libraries and talk of holes in the wall. While privately down the bond, Feyre sends the revelation that Helion equals Lucian's dada. Baron Probs knows about the affair but can't really prove anything. Helion Probs doesn't know Lucian is his son. Lucian's gift of fire that he uses may come from his mother's line, since that is why Baron wanted to marry into it. They're such strong fire users. Nesta comes into the room. Helion tries to hit on her. She easily dismisses him. Nesta grabs Feyre and they go to Nesta's room. She tells Feyre they have to leave now and something feels wrong. Cassian booms in and is like, what the heck's going on? Nesta is still like, something feels off. There's a sense of dread. I don't know what's going on, but we need to get out of here. The others all frantically winnow in and out, fly around, check all the barriers. They can't find anything. They all stay close until they retire for bed. Mor takes Helion to bed. Rhys and Feyre finally get time to decompress alone. Feyre's like, what the heck is going on? Why is Mor doing this in front of Azriel? And Rhys is like, Azriel and Mor keep denying what's between them and each take lovers throughout the centuries. And I'm not going to put myself in the middle of it. Rhys also is like, Tamlin still loves you, Feyre. And she's like, I know. And then she tells Rhys that she's proud of him for what he shared today. And then she also tells Rhys that while she was back in the spring court, she searched for his mother and sister's wings, and that Tamlin had burned them. And Rhys also says that he doesn't think Tamlin is the brute warrior that they fall back on seeing him as. And they fall asleep with no sexy time tonight, just embracing.
You said it, and I want to say it because I didn't have it as an actual note. Feyre does not know the full story of like what happened between Lucian's mom and him and stuff. And so we don't know the full story. We don't know how guilty he is, if she actually did decide to stay, whatever the thing is. But I do think it is fair and should be applauded that Farah did not accept just a simple answer. She's like, well, why didn't you try to get her? You know she's in an abusive relationship, and did you do your due diligence to like get her out of that? So I appreciate her not backing down, even though the room was shifting, it was getting uncomfortable, and she was definitely stepping over lines. But some lines are meant to be crossed, and I think she definitely was pushing this, and rightfully so.
Absolutely. I mean, she's looking at the situation that's being laid out in front of her, and she's seeing herself being trapped in Tamlin's manor, and then no one coming to save her, and just staying trapped, staying that shell of a person that she is. She's seen that happen to the Autumn Lady in this situation, and it is. And she even says in her own mind, like, I shouldn't ask this. I should stop. Helion's obviously, his buttons are being pushed, and he's upset. But she goes ahead and asks. And that's where some people don't push and don't ask those questions, and then bad guys keep getting away with things. Yeah. But I also feel bad for Helion. I don't think that he's necessarily a bad guy. I think that he probably presented several different opportunities to get the Autumn Lady out of that situation, and they were all denied.
I also feel like maybe he has some pride issues too. Like he lost the fight and his pride is now getting in the way of maybe getting what he actually wants. And that's without knowing, once again, the full story. But that's just how he comes across. And I do feel like this chapter, like you have, is very, very heavy. It talks about this, which we know she's getting abused. Then it talks about the loss of her sisters, how her sisters sacrificed themselves so that she could get away. A lot of sisterhood in these books. But also, it also has, the chapter starts off kind of funny because it's like Pharaoh realizes that he likes to sleep with both men and women, and he's always been trying to get in between Cassian and Mor. And I love her being like, just like so innocently and transparent, why haven't they done that? Like that's a
Yeah.
great
He,
threesome.
well, a foursome because
Oh
Azrael's
yeah.
included.
Yeah.
Like, it's, yeah. But yeah, she's like, and why hasn't this happened? And yeah, I think that is funny.
And as in more
It,
mates.
true. It starts out very light and then it gets into the heavy, heavy areas that are very hard to read and then also discuss.
Yes.
I am really glad though that Helion is an actual friend to Rhysand. I I think I take the fact that he's letting his true self be there, that they're actually friends.
No, I think they may not share the same values on everything, but they're definitely friends. He just put on a front that they weren't as close as they were so that the other High Lords wouldn't catch on to that. But I think they are like, in the way that High Lords could probably have best friends, they would be considered best High Lord friends.
Also, though, it does continue to mention that he's like adjusting this like clasp that he keeps on his arm, and he even wears it when he takes his crown off, and it's a snake. So I hope that this snake is a snake on what side we view as good, you know, because they can be very helpful.
Yeah. Hopefully he's a good snake,
Hmm.
not the one sneaking in the
I
garden.
I definitely hope he's a good snake.
I love that Rhysand has known these people for centuries, and it takes Farah all of 5 minutes to piece together that this was an affair and that Lucian is his child. It just shows that even High Lords are men too, and they're just simple boys, like in the
It's
best way.
so It's so funny. She's like, "You never thought of this?" He's like, "Not in 5,000 years." I
Yeah.
mean, not that long, but still pretty long. Chapter 48. After breakfast, they need to return to the meeting. The Night Court is all clothed in attire that represents what they will be to their enemies rather than their previous day's attire. Helion starts it off. He thinks Tamlina, I didn't type that, autocorrect typed that, and I'm leaving it, and Tarquin can hold the front line, and then the bigger forces can swoop in and support and take Hybern out before they advance. Tamlin again blames Feyre for wiping his army. Nesta jumps from her seat. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. She starts vomiting. She starts seizing. She goes limp. Mor catches her. Something shatters through the living earth and the physical mountain shakes. But then everything's calm again. Nesta vomits again. She goes limp one more time. Mor doesn't really bother catching her this time. She's like, something's wrong, but not with me. Oh God, it's the cauldron. Rhys shoots out his power, and when he feels what happened, comes back into his own body. I don't really know what's happening. But anyway, he reports the wall is gone. The king of Hybern has used the cauldron to destroy the wall. I really appreciate that Feyre in this chapter is like, everybody, these people are older than us. They know the words better. They know what's going on better. They're going to know if something's wrong. And she tries to say, like, it's okay to Nesta. But then when everybody else comes in, they're like, nope, we got to check it out. If Nesta thinks something's wrong, we got to suss it out. And they go and like spread out and do a search party.
Search party.
I'm also glad that Baron isn't here at this point because I can just see him being venomous and being like, "Well, she's the one doing this. She's causing it," pointing the finger at Nesta, being like, there's got to be a connection there, and causing further breakdown between the High Lords.
I'm surprised Nesta didn't have to slip into a coma for the wall breaking, since it seems like she's so connected to it with the cauldron. It feels like if something like that broke, it's almost like when Voldemort loses a piece of his soul, he kind of like makes him, I don't know. I feel like she loses a part of her power, but I mean, she does like basically have a seizure, but I expect her to slip into a coma next time.
I don't really have very much with this. I mean, the wall comes down. They're meeting to try and stop the wall to come down. It all just kind of
The
sucks.
wall has fallen. It's just, that's how I picture it. Like, Rhysand kind of does a That's So Raven trance, and then he comes back to everybody and he's like, the wall has fallen. And then it's
Yeah,
in
and
scene.
everybody's like, panic! Everybody run!
Next week on ACOWAR.
Chapter 49. Hybern's attempts to secure Nesta are because she's gonna be a little warning bell for when the cauldron's being used, and he knew it. At the news of the wall coming down, all the High Lords quickly depart for their own lands. Thesians promising to send Fabane antidote in 2 days, Tamlin leaves with assurances that his people will be safe to go to the summer court, and then Helion and Tarquin both urge him to bring what soldiers he can to help on the front line. He doesn't acknowledge that he'll do either thing and leaves. Varian stops Rhys and Feyre and almost sends a message to Amren, but thinks better of it and says that he'll tell her himself. Once they get back, Elaine gets a crazy plan to try and trick Grayson's father into letting the humans nearest to him seek safe harbor at his sanctuary. This plan's so crazy, it just might work. But let's keep thrusting her into the sunshine. On the back burner, she's still wearing the iron ring. The plan is all of them will go to the estate. Their scents will be picked up by the hounds present to pick up Faye's scent, and will be thrown off and not really notice that Elaine's Faye too, because she's going to be glamored as a human. And that's what's going to be able to convince Grayson and his father to let the humans come be refugees there. Also, I wanted to add, she lets everybody know Grayson's father has a grove of ash trees. Cassian needs to go to the Illyrians and ready the war people. He also needs Rhys's ability to command them, so they decide they'll all go to the Illyrian camp and then the human lands. Feyre and Nesta both try and talk Elaine out of going and being the one to talk to Grayson, but she's adamant she needs to be the one that handles this. She tries to make Feyre swear she won't kill Grayson if everything goes poorly, but Feyre refuses to make that promise. She knows ultimately she won't keep it if it's between him and Elaine. Elaine is off to dress for the occasion with the Wraith twins. Cassian comes to say goodbye to Nesta and tell her to kill anyone who tries to harm her and give her it's like a dagger or a knife. He gives it to her, and then he gives her a crash course on defensive maneuvers. Feyre leaves to go talk to Amren because she needs to make a bargain with the creature under the library, Bryaxis. My first point is just, ooh, Varian loves Amren. Varian loves Amren. Just so cute. I just love that.
Amren sitting in a tree. My first point is Elaine sounds hella desperate in this chapter. Like, I am not convinced that this idea isn't to try to win Grayson back. I don't think anybody else should be convinced otherwise. I know they're worried about her, but, and they see this as like the only option to truly protect a larger amount of humans. But Elaine, girl, it's not a good look for you. You look very desperate, honey. You do. He doesn't want you.
Dude, it's over, girl. It's over. I will say that in some of the previous chapters, I don't remember if it's this book or another one, but there's complaining from the characters that the humans have forgotten what the Fae have treated them like. Like, because of the Children of the Blessed being so popular between some of the humans and whatnot. But this human family did not forget the treatment. I don't know if they have like this, I don't know, some of the history books saved and preserved or something, but they have prepared as, I mean, it's poor preparation and can be gotten through very
They
easily.
keep saying
But
this is the
they tried.
they keep saying this is the best opportunity for survival for a lot of the humans, and then it like goes to like, yeah, but I could easily fly over this gate and
Lit-
kill every single person within sight. And I'm like, well, then why are we? I mean, let's not give the people a false sense of security to just leave them to the lion's den.
Literally shred this wall to
Yeah,
pieces.
I
It's
could I
tall and thick,
blink
but
and it could be gone, and I can't wait to put a crowd
it's
of humans back there.
I just know this is where we should do it. I don't like Grayson and his family. I think that you you can harbor too much hate for someone, and
Yes.
this is
The
definitely
example,
not a healthy,
the
yes, it's
poster
not a
child.
healthy amount of being cautious. It's just pure hate. Not good. The grove of ash trees is a little scary.
It's good for them though. If you're trying to protect yourself against Fae, that's the grove you want to have in your front yard.
Yeah.
The end of this chapter, when it's Feyre going to Amryn, I like how Feyre tells Amryn that she's going to be doing this. It's a very high lady moment for her, and nobody usually does something like that with Amryn. But Amryn accepts it because at the end of the day, even though Amryn is whatever she is, you have to remember that Feyre is the leader. She is the high lady, so Amryn kind of has to listen.
I love this moment for Feyre because it does show her taking her responsibility as High Lady very seriously and doing something without Rhysand. They're people together, and we know they're a team, but it also shows that she's ready and willing to take on responsibility as just the High Lady.
Yeah.
And Amryn has always respected her as High Lady.
Yes.
She's never been like, I'm too old for this or anything. She likes having her place under them for some reason. Chapter 50. Amryn confirms she can break the wards holding Bryaxis, and she and Feyre offer them freedom in exchange for fighting for their court on the battlefield. But Bryaxis wants sunlight and moonlight and stars in return. Amryn offers a window at the top of the library. Faber's like, that's all though? Amryn stomps Feyre's foot a few times in the convo, actually, and is like, yes, shut up. That's all they want. Like, leave it. Don't offer more. Don't say anything else. Shut your mouth and take the easy way out. The bargain is struck, and the Court of Night gains a literal nightmare. Feyre kind of keeps Amryn severing the wards and Bryaxis fighting for them from everyone. Rhys and Feyre linger after everyone else winnows to the Illyrian lands, and she tells him of her and Amryn's schemings. And then Feyre promises that they'll return to Valeris and their peaceful town home. Okay, I think it was wise for Feyre not to tell everybody because also Cassian needs to be the general and he'd be distracted.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be so distracted on that battlefield. And I do think, isn't there a moment where he does like see it or something like that? I'm pretty sure there is. But do you think the Bryaxis appears as like your nightmare, like your? Because it mentions that he can't wait to like eat people's nightmares or something like that. So is that what you think it
Yeah,
shows itself as?
I don't know if it shows itself as everyone's personal nightmare or if it's just like this really creepy like creature.
Getting the
I
goosies.
can't decide. But it does say that he like feeds off of terror. He's like, "Can I feast on their
Yeah.
fears?"
It does. It kind of has that
Yeah.
like lull voice, but I also picture it kind of intertwining around her, like almost like a cat at your legs.
Oh, yes. Yes. I really like this character. I like Bryaxis. I'm excited that we're going to see more of it in the future, I believe.
Yeah, and it's cute. It just wants a little window. It's not asking for much.
It literally wants company and a window, okay? Harmless. Am I
What could
right?
happen?
What? What's the worst that could happen? Let's not forget, he doesn't really, or they don't really return to the library once they fight because that wasn't part of the bargain. they decide to roam free for a bit and are just kind of out running wild in the Feylands.
I couldn't remember if it died or if it is just a loosey-goosey now.
No. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a little bit loosey-goosey. Cassian is trying to hunt it, deathly afraid, needs it to be in the library.
Keeps him awake at night.
Literally, Bryaxis lives under Cassian's bed just to mess with it. Or just to mess with him.
He's not even traveling the continent, he's just following Cassian.
That's hilarious. Part 3, High Lady. Chapter 51. Lord Devlin is present among the Illyrian leaders. All the Illyrian leaders have one siphon, while each of our bat boys sport 7. Let's not forget. Feyre and the other ladies are staying a step back from the testosterone at the meeting. One battle at a time here. Let's not fight everything all at once. Let's be smart about this, people. Devlin questions what Nesta is when he spots her, and Cassian lethally tells him to mind his own business. Nesta tells him she's a witch. He tells everybody to keep the women and children away from her. Feyre takes the ladies to the war tent so that Devlin can focus on the task at hand and not be haunted by what he's afraid Nesta's about to do. Moore explains that there's a difference between witches and high fae. Witches amass power beyond their natural reserve, using spells and tools to harness more power than allotted to them by the cauldron. Moore then glamours Elaine to look like her previous human form, and it's human land time. 12 guards guard the gate. That's what guards do, It's a massive, massive gate, and it's got spikes at the top. Elaine, head held high, addresses the guards, saying, "Tell Grayson his betrothed has come for him. Tell him Elaine Archeron begs for sanctuary," in her dumb little princess
She's a
voice.
witch. She's a witch. No, that was a perfect Elaine voice. That is actually how I picture desperate little Elaine.
That was my only point here is like, Elaine, why are you trying to rub salt in that wound? Like, why are you doing this to yourself? It's kind of crazy.
She is not at the point of acceptance that she needs to be at, because he's moved on. He doesn't want you. It's like he said his least favorite thing in the world was Faye, and she became that and still thinks she has a chance. His love is not strong enough to get over that.
Maybe if I wear my hair over my ears, nobody will notice that I'm Faye.
Them showing up into the Illyrian war camp was kind of funny. It reminded me of us being in New York City when we went to Lululemon after running a marathon. 3 of us that had ran the marathon, and Jenna got singled out by the Lulu worker, like, "Oh, girl, you look tired." That's how I kind of pictured them being, like, looking towards Nesta and being like, "You, what are you?"
I did run a marathon, but he was like, "You look bad.
Yeah, you look tired.
You look real tired."
Yeah, my literal only thing from this chapter is Elaine looks very desperate.
Yeah, she does. I did. So there's a weird moment where they're in the tent and Elaine's like, "Are a lot of soldiers gonna die?"
Yeah.
And Feyre's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna touch that." But Nesta's like, "Yes, Elaine, soldiers are gonna die." And then she holds herself back, and Feyre fills in the blank and says she can tell Nesta wants to say, "Your mate might be one of the first to die." And I'm just, is she talking about Lucian there?
Yeah, she's talking
And
about
why?
Lucian.
Because Nesta's just been so against the mating thing to begin with. I don't know why she holds that back. I don't get why she's the one thinking it.
Because
I don't
Elaine
understand.
is a delicate little flower and they treat her as such. So I feel like she's holding back because she's already realizing that people die in war. harsh reality. And so now they're like, let's not add on in this moment.
It's just super weird to me that that's the conversation that they hold. I, I don't I don't know. I don't really get it.
For today's spotlight, as most readers of fantasy books know, Sarah J. Maas announced, or Sarah J. Maas, I don't know, it's a Maas verse. She announced the next two titles for the books that will be coming out on October 27th, 2026. The book will be A Court of Splintered Harmony. And then on the next release date, January 12th, 2027, it's A Court of Forgotten Melody. So do with that what you will. Jenna's going to go in her little closet with her board with all the pinpricks, and she's going to start piecing things together. But now people
I
are
mean,
going crazy.
Not to beat a dead horse, but that's My Little Pony vibes, straight up, straight down. Nobody can read it any other way.
And
that's all we get.
That is Jenna's 500th reference of My Little Pony on this episode, or not on this episode, on this podcast. So
Maybe.
Could be. She's a big fan if you guys haven't picked that up. Now let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening. Next week, we will be stripping down chapters 52 through 62 of ACOWAR. Tune in every Tuesday on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts for new episodes. And be sure to hit that follow button to stay up to date on all things Book Thoughts.
Woo!